Hey guys, welcome to Mark's TV. Today I'm going to be doing a quick review of my thoughts of my 2014 CRF250L. So I've had this bike for a little over 3 years now, and I put over 13,000 miles on it. And I've done just about a little bit of everything, I'd say, with this bike, besides trying to jump it at a motocross track. But I've been riding it off-road parks, just riding it around town a little bit, riding on dirt roads like this. Even took it to the mountains of Colorado, rode up Pikes Peak up to 14,000 feet, rode Mount Evans. That's also about 14,000 feet on that road. Then I did that too up on this bike with camping gear and all that. So done a lot with this bike, and I really do love the Honda CRF250L. Obviously it's a 250, so it doesn't have a ton of power. It has like 24 horsepower, I believe. Some of the newer models, they have the 300L now, which makes just a little bit more. So not a ton of power. Highway cruising, done a little bit. Not what this bike is for. You can probably do 70 on the highway. Here, some days we have some really strong winds, and it can really make it hard to hit 65 or hold 65. But I'm talking like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and you don't really want to be riding on the highway in that anyways. So this is not a highway bike by any means. If you just want to, drive around town, kind of cruise around town, a great bike for that. If you really want to hit the twisties, I feel like it does pretty good, but it's still not going to compare to something like a sport bike or something like that. But this bike kind of does everything pretty good, but nothing I would say great. Off-road parks, it is very heavy compared to a dirt bike. So if you kind of get stuck on a trail and you need to turn around, it can be a little bit of a pain with how fat this girl is. I think she comes in right around 320 pounds. That being said, she's not heavy when you're riding her. It's just if you drop it and have to pick it up, or like I said, if you have to turn around on a tight trail, it can really wear you out pretty quickly. So I really love this bike, and I always wanted one for a while. So I finally saved up enough money, got one, and I'm very happy with this bike. That being said, I am starting to look for another bike because I've been taking my wife on the back, and I will say this does have passenger pegs here for second rider. The seat is not very comfortable for long rides, even short rides with a passenger, and they're pretty much right up against my rack here that I made, if not on it. And they don't really like that. She doesn't like that at all. And it puts me really far forward on the bike where I am like scrunched up so far. So I have to sit pretty much like this to get her on the back, which isn't that comfortable for either of us. And so we're trying to look for something a little bit more comfortable. But that being said, for one person, this bike does an amazing job. Off-road, it can do pretty much everything that a dirt bike can do. It's going to be a little bit more work, a little more exhausting, but that's half the fun. Because I like this bike because I can go ride to the off-road parks. I don't have to go load up my bike on a trailer, take it out there, and go ride. I can just get to it, start riding, and get after it. So that being said, it isn't a massive engine. I really do wish it had a little more power so that you could cruise kind of a little better on the highway. It doesn't have any wind protection. The rally models, if you'd want to do a little bit more adventure riding, a little bit more highway, I think would be better. I added a little, I don't know if you can see here, just a little wind deflector. I had two on at one point in time when I rode in Colorado. And I don't know, it really didn't make that much difference. This little one helps a little bit, I like to think. It was like 20 bucks, not a big deal. So overall, the bike, riding and whatnot, it's a heavy dirt bike. But it does pretty well, I'd say, at everything. Overall, the reliability of this bike has been amazing. I've only had one problem where it left me on the side of the road, and that was my charging system had failed. And I spent a little time trying to figure that out, finally got it figured out. Wasn't that big a deal. I did have to take the side cover off and replace component on the left side here. Didn't take me very long though, once I figured out what was wrong to replace that, and you get all the parts really easily. But overall, other than that, the reliability has been amazing. Never left me stranded anywhere. When I was back off-roading, I'd crash or whatever, and never had any issues where it broke to the point that I couldn't ride home, which is really good, which is another thing when you're going to an off-road park. Try to keep in mind if you have to ride home, and don't get too crazy, don't get a little too carried away, or it might, because you gotta make it home. So that being said, I really do like this CRF250L. It's a great bike, great beginner's bike to learn off-road, to learn how to ride. It is a little bit tall, so you can feel like you're going to tip over if you're not the tallest. I know they have lowering links and whatnot, but yeah, it's really a good bike. It can hold quite a bit of gear. I added this, or I welded up this back rack, and then I have some soft saddlebags that I can throw over. Carry quite a bit of camping gear. I threw Camelback right here, put a bunch of stuff in. You can put a front fender bag. But overall, yeah, I just really love this bike. Been a lot of fun. Been through a lot. You got a 2-gallon tank. I get about 100 miles on a tank. In the mountains, because here I get about 56 miles to the gallon. When you're up about 6,000, 7,000 feet, I get around 70, 75. And so I can go a lot farther on a tank, which is good because there's a lot less gas stations up there. So you don't really need to carry gas, but you do need to be paying attention and kind of plan out ahead of time. You know, if you're going to go on an adventure a few days long, where you're going to get that gas. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments or things you want to know more specifically about my CRF250L, please let me know. But hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe.